path of retirement income that they would generate. The blue line here is the path if you earned a steady 4% year after year after year. There's a big difference in these different paths, but you can see it's quite a volatile ride. And so this is the analysis that when I say intellectually I should be invested 100% in stocks, this is the kind of analysis that I'm looking at. Now, I've only got a few 30-year periods. I can show you every single 30-year period. It looked like a big blob. I'm just showing this because these different periods that I've chosen have different, some of them started with low returns, giving you that sequence of return risk. Some of them had 4 years near the end. So it was a mix of different periods of good and bad investment. So I felt it was a good representative of what could happen. Now this is using historical returns, and there's a big debate in the investment community right now. Should we be having reduced expectations about investment returns? And so we're preparing analyses that show these kinds of results using forward-looking return assumptions, which are lower than historical returns, and also using historical returns. My own view is I don't know whether we're going to have better returns going forward or not, but they still, even using lower expectations, the stock market still beats the heck out of investing in bonds. And so I really don't need to be too hung up on whether we're going to get forward-looking returns or historical returns. I still think I ought to have a significant allocation to stocks. Now this shows the 30-year period. The next slide is just focusing in on just the first 15 years. And it does show a couple different scenarios where you have more income with that so-called safe 4% return compared to investing in the S&P 500. And these scenarios are where we have bad returns early on in retirement. That is sequence of return risk, which no one wants to have. So this is just showing some of the math behind what I was saying earlier, is that if you have this portfolio of retirement income where the paychecks cover your basic living expenses, then at least now with discretionary living expenses generating from invested assets, you have the ability to cut that back during downturns. And that's really, to address sequence of returns risk, you'll want to cut back your withdrawals when the market is down. That's one of the best ways to do that. So we're talking about living and working. The 20th century career trajectory looked like this, where you work full-time for some period and then you retire full-time. And I'm suggesting maybe a more natural trajectory would be the 21st century here, where you're doing some kind of a downshifting strategy. Now, I'm showing the financial argument for that, but I also want to talk about some of the psychological and social arguments as well. If you can imagine, one time I was having breakfast with my wife, and she was reading the newspaper, and I was reading my favorite mortality table. And I came across this analysis, which showed that the blue bar are retirees and the green bars are workers, and this is the annual death rate. What are the odds of dying in a year? And the blue bars were higher than the green bars. I was going, what's going on here? I thought retirement was supposed to be good for you. This is a chart for men. It's even more pronounced for women. This is the kind of phenomenon that fascinates us at the Stanford Center on Longevity, is does working longer cause or enable you to live longer and be healthy, or is it just a correlation? Is it the healthy people who are able to work longer? And it's really difficult to unpack that and find out what the causation is. But I can say that where the research is heading on this is that good work that you enjoy, you have social connections, it's not physically dangerous, is probably good for your health and longevity. And bad work, where it's physically dangerous, you hate your boss, you don't like it, is probably bad for your health. Actually, we didn't need research. Grandma could have told us this. So here's one of the basic dilemmas facing both individuals and employers in this age of longevity. This is a chart showing health statuses for people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. This is self-reported health status, which actually is fairly accurate. The blue bars represent percents of the population of these ages reporting excellent health. The green bar represents how many people could work. They're not in perfect health, but there's no limitations in their ability to work. People who are reporting excellent health, under half saying there's no limitations in my ability to work, it's in the 90%. This is the basic dilemma that I think as individuals and society is facing, is that a lot of people either want to work for financial reasons, or they like to work, they aren't quite as healthy as they used to be, but they still have experience and wisdom and knowledge that they can contribute. And so how we navigate these issues as society, as employers, as individuals, this is one of the most important challenges that we face. This is why I'm saying it's a tough job living a long time. And there's no easy answer to this one. But we can take a tip from our dog. Dogs are masters at phased retirement. Any of you who have dogs know that dogs have duties. They guard the house, they play with the family, and they don't just hit some arbitrary age and retire out the doghouse. They keep doing whatever their aging bodies let them do. And so let's take another tip from our dog in the phasing out of the workplace. So I've been talking about income, just very quickly, sources of expenses, housing, transportation, food, health, and entertainment. A lot of people think that medical bills are the highest cost in retirement, but actually, statistically, it's still housing. So if you need to reduce your living expenses, I suggest taking a look at your housing, because that's the biggest target. And actually, while you're doing that, you might be able to get some other goals achieved. You might be able to move to a place that better suits your circumstances. So I like to say we want to focus on buying just enough and what meets your needs and what makes you very happy. Now I've got to tell another cute story. I was giving a workshop up at the corporate headquarters of Nordstrom, and when I introduced this concept of just enough, one of the women in the audience said, "Steve, there's no such thing as just enough shoes." And we're an equal opportunity person here. I said, okay, yeah, the men probably there's no such thing as just enough tools or golf clubs. So it's going to be a personal decision. But retirees over and over again in surveys say that the number one way they manage their finances is to manage their living expenses within the income that they have. I want to go on to some other important decisions. And again, I'm using kind of vivid imagery. I call it medical expenses and long-term care expenses. That's the big bad wolf of retirement. And I'm purposely drawing on the nursery fable. We all knew about the first two little pigs. They didn't really spend much time preparing, and we know the sad result. Only the third pig spent the time preparing for the big bad wolf. And so it's really important to pay attention to choices you make with regard to Medicare, medical insurance. You have a strategy for long-term care expenses. These are some of the most important decisions you'll want to make. Other lifestyle decisions here, where to live, enhancing your health, building your healthcare team and metrics, developing your social portfolio, using the same kinds of concepts with your investment portfolio. You want to diversify your social portfolio. Working and volunteering and planning your non-financial legacy. These are more of the action steps that I encourage people to take. Now I know this is usually an investment club, but I want to also focus on other investments you might be able to make. So I'm going to use the word investment more broadly. What kind of health investments do we want to make? Now, when we're in our middle age, often we define being healthy as just not being sick. But it becomes more complex when you get into your 60s and 70s. And so we really need to be more proactive and focus on things like our well-being, our exercise, our health, our healthcare team, and our healthcare metrics. Now I want to ask the question, how many people think nutrition is more important than exercise in your longevity? Okay. How many people think exercise is more important? This is really a trick question. How many want to say both? Thank you. I was just trying to have some fun. Here's a quote from Michael Greger, who wrote a great book, How Not to Die, which goes on and on about all the scientific research supporting nutrition. Most deaths in the United States are preventable, and they are related to what we eat. Our diet is the number one cause of premature death and the number one cause of disability. These are powerful words, and he has a ton of research backing up that statement. But now let's look at this one. If exercise can be purchased in a pill, it would be the single most widely prescribed and beneficial medicine in the nation. This cause comes from Robert Butler, another doctor who is the founding director of the National Institute on Aging. So this was the trick question, just really quick. And this leads me to retirement planning tip number 3 from your doc. dogs like to go for walks. And so, take a walk with your dog. Now, being a good example isn't the only thing that dogs do. They can also be a bad example. Dogs will put almost any food you put in front of them, they will eat it. And so they actually serve as a bad example with respect to eating. But here's now what I think is what's not known to a lot of people that is important is, this is again coming from Successful Aging by Jack Rowe. Many illnesses and disabilities, particularly the chronic diseases of old age, are preceded by signs of future problems. Among these leading warning signs are modest increases in systolic blood pressure, abdominal fat, blood sugar, and decreases in lung, kidney, and immune function. A preventative orientation would involve periodic monitoring and action. And so what I'm suggesting, or what he's suggesting, is setting up your health metrics: blood pressure, blood cholesterol, blood sugar. And if things start getting out of whack, then you want to take some corrective action. I happen to have this done every year, but you know what? When things start to get out of whack, what's the commonly prescribed, actually the best steps you should take? Look at nutrition and look at your exercise. You know, so why not do that instead? But finally, here's another quote from Amy Atopoulos, who works at the Center on Longevity, where we build a social portfolio with the same attention and intention as you gave to building your financial portfolio. This will help increase your health, life, enjoyment, and financial security. So we're seeing that health and social engagement and finances are interchangeably or intimately entwined together. And to really have the best life, you want to be doing good in all of those areas and purposely planning for those. I like to say that, to draw your attention to that, working, when you think about working, it gives you three basic human needs: community, a sense of identity, you know, like you're a doctor, a nurse, accountant, identity, and then a sense of meaning and purpose. So when you retire, you're disrupting those very human needs. And so you should be purposeful about how you're going to replace those needs. So another important lifestyle decision is where you live, and that actually can help impact your social portfolio and your exercise. So I want to stop now. I want to take some questions, and then I'm going to finish with a couple slides and a couple thoughts to send you going away. But let me just stop right now and take a couple questions for a few minutes. So let's, right here.
Steve, I'm a contemporary of I'm 66, and Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace University, says, try to secure long-term care insurance in the 60s. And I got a quote when I was 66 years ago. It seemed like a lot. I wish now that I pulled the trigger on it, because I got another quote last week, and it's double. So, you know, I'm going to have to do it now.
So, just so we can hear, the part that is really concerning long-term care, and this is one of the most difficult and complex decisions you'll need to make. But I do encourage people, don't be discouraged, do something. And so one way to address long-term care is to buy long-term care insurance. Now, just for the audience here, I need to distinguish between medical costs, which are doctors and nurses and drugs fixing you when you've got an accident or illness. Long-term care is caring for you when you're too frail to do activities of daily living. Preparing your food, using the restroom, showering. Most medical insurance policies and Medicare do not pay for long-term care. There's a common misconception that they do, and they don't. So let's just get that out there. They don't. Long-term care can be extremely expensive, and so that's another of these big bad wolves. I've also heard people say, okay, well, I'll just go on Medicaid. And that's just, again, waving your arms. Most people don't qualify for Medicaid. We're going through this with one of our relatives right now. And by our standards, we would deem them as not having much savings. They don't qualify for Medicaid. So one way is to buy long-term care insurance, but as the gentleman here said, it's very expensive. And so people don't want to buy that. What I'm hoping to see is innovations in long-term care insurance that are kind of like a high-deductible medical plan, where you have to self-insure the first year or two of care, and then they kick in after 2 or 3 years. That will bring the premiums down. Right now, the longest waiting period I've seen is a year wait. And so that's one way you can look at it, is you want to bring the premium down, look for the waiting period. But this is a challenge because a lot of insurance companies have pulled out of the long-term care insurance market because they just can't price dementia and Alzheimer's. And so I think a lot of us are going to have to self-insure for long-term care. So the next best strategy I like, if you didn't buy long-term care insurance, and if you've got home equity, and hopefully people in the room here have Southern California home equity, is to keep that intact. Don't take out a home equity loan, don't take out a reverse mortgage, and then that's something that you can tap when you need long-term care with, at that time, either a reverse mortgage or a home equity loan. And actually, my wife and I stumbled on that with her mother, and that actually worked okay. So that's the next best strategy. But even if you paid for it, you still want to be on good terms with your younger, either friends or neighbors or children, because paying for it isn't the only thing. You still need somebody taking you to the doctor and somebody looking out after you. So your social portfolio, whether it's your friends or your adult children, are also part of your long-term care strategy. Thank you for asking that. That's an excellent question. Okay, this back here, and I'll come down here.
Could you go back to the slide where they showed the websites for estimating your longevity?
Ooh, okay.
There was one up here.
Well, you know what? Let me just tell you, it's livingto100.com.
Okay.
Is one. Blue.
I just did it yesterday. It's working.
So livingto100.com, bluezones.com. And then the last one, my favorite, if you bluezones.com. My favorite, if you Google Society of Actuaries Longevity Calculator, you'll get it. And that's my favorite. Good question.
Are your slides going to be part of the chapters on chapter's website, like
Yeah,
other?
can we post your presentation?
Yes, slides will be on the website. There's a question here.
Is there such a program, I heard, the Social Security, that you can put 25% of your money for long-term care, and then you can get very high tax deduction on it?
So there's a question here. Does Social Security have a program where you can put 25% of your income into some kind of long-term care program? No. No. I wish they did, but they don't. Okay, there's a question in the back room here.
You know, you say if you plan to live a long life or expect to wait on Social Security, has there ever been a study done where you withdraw Social Security early, but then use that money to invest in a conservative index fund or annuity?
Good question. So just to rephrase it, is that there's one thought out there that I'm going to take Social Security early, and then I'm going to invest it, and I'm going to beat what I could have gotten had I delayed. And I've done the math. I've done these kinds of analyses. And first of all, let's make the assumption that you have the discipline not to spend that Social Security benefit that you're taking. Because some people will take it early and say, yeah, I'm going to invest it, and then next month, well, I'm going to invest it next month, and the next month, I'm going to invest it next month. So let's just assume for the moment that you have the discipline to actually invest it. Then I ask you, do you have any money invested in bonds? Because basically, if you're going to invest your early Social Security benefits and think that you'll be delaying, you have to take stock market risk. You have to take significant stock market risk. If you invest that money in bonds, that's a losing bet. So I've done the math, I've seen that. And so really you have to ask yourself, do you have any bonds in your retirement portfolio? If you do, that's money that you could then live on while you're delaying your Social Security benefit. But if you want to invest in drawdown, go 75, 80, or higher percent in stocks, then you have a chance to beat Social Security, and you've got all the underlying volatility coming with it. Other questions? There was, okay, right here.
Add on to that, health benefits, security, 8% a year.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, the annual amount of income that you get increases 8% per year, delaying between your full retirement age and at age 70. Once you hit age 70, that stops, and you really should, because there's no benefit to delaying any longer. Let me take one more question, then we'll wrap up. There's at the back of the room there.
Yeah, what if you're married and one of the spouses is a higher wage earner, and the lower wage earner takes the Social Security at 62, then when the higher wage earner takes their Social Security benefit at 70, wouldn't the spouse be entitled to half of their benefit?
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit, but The question really is regarding optimal planning strategies for married couples.
Yep.
And if you're married and you're trying to figure out the best strategy, I would strongly encourage you to look at some kind of Social Security software that will pick the best Social Security strategy for you. I'm going to answer your question, but it's going to be highly focused on the circumstances you talk about. The advisory firm Financial Engines calculates that there are like 6,000 different possible planning strategies for married couples. That's the perfect solution for a computer. So, but if you want to talk about one possible scenario that's common, is where the husband is the older person and has been the primary wage earner, and the wife is younger and maybe was earning less throughout her career than her husband. That's actually a scenario where the husband delaying until age 70 is optimal, and the wife might delay either till 66 or even 62. And there's money coming in while you're delaying the husband's benefit. So that actually could work. But to get the actual optimal, you want to use some kind of software. Financial Engines has a free software on their website, so if you just Google Financial Engines Social Security software, you can find it. There's also one called Open Social Security, which I like. And those will help married couples figure out the optimal planning strategy. Okay, let me wrap up. Why do we want to live a long, healthy, financially secure life? What's the motivation? I contend that we all have unfinished business. And that unfinished business might be reconnecting with friends we haven't seen in a long time. Maybe making up with relatives or friends that we're estranged from. Maybe when we entered our early adulthood, we were passionate about causes like the environment, social justice, and poverty. And then we got distracted by raising a family and our careers. So maybe we want to reconnect with issues that we're passionate about. And so I really think that this is the motivation for me, is that we all have unfinished business, either personal or with our community or helping the world. And this is our chance. And so we will able to help and provide this help if we have health and social connections and financial security. So this, to me, is the reason why I think this is what motivates me to take care of my health and my finances. And it's also just how do we enjoy our life. So I want to end with a picture of my father. He was very inspiring. He was an athlete. He's the one on the left, by the way. And he did track and field. He was a hurdler, high jumper, pole vaulter. And I think this picture is a good metaphor for planning our retirement. We're going to face hurdles. We're going to have stock market crashes. We're going to have a spouse pass away. We're going to have illnesses, economic upheavals. That's part of the scenario if we're going to live for another 20 or 30 years. Think about a hurdler who said, I would have won if it weren't for all those hurdles in the way. Doesn't make sense. So we need to consider these last 20 or 30 years as like a hurdles race. And we need to train for them. That's the planning that I'm talking about. We need to train for it. And so my father did his training and practices. And so I encourage you, with the proper training and preparation, you can win your retirement race. Thank you for spending time with me today.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in January.